do this thing.
Let's
Just do it. It is I, Satan.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know where that came from. I went to a dark place.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
Okay. I mean, it's fine. We all
have a little Satan in us.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even disagree with that, to be honest.
It's true.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to a new season of You Got, or YGG, or anything else. I don't know that it has another name.
It's whatever you want it to be.
Oh,
I
that's
know.
beautiful.
I'm
what
all
is Dead
for
May Never
creativity.
Die, just like...
A podcast after a season?
Of not...
Or
of not
after
being
a break?
So, anyway, let's do a quick introduction because it has been a year. My name is Sophia Matthias. I am your resident OG host of You Got. I was joined 2 years ago by Miss Carly.
Many years.
So many years by this wonderful woman who's actually sitting right next to me. What is your name?
My name is Carly. I don't have as interesting of a name intro as you. Yours sounds way cooler.
You didn't even say your last name, so I don't even know.
Carly Hill.
Oh!
Yes.
Oh,
you know it now.
I do. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And I'm honestly, can I just say, I'm so happy to be back here with you to talk about Game of Thrones yet again.
I am too. It's amazing how long there of a period of time happens between seasons. Like, it feels like that time doesn't exist. It's just limbo until the next. We just live for every season of Game of Thrones. We don't exist outside of seasons of Game of Thrones.
That is actually quite a true statement, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm fine with my
All right
life
with it.
being guided by Game of Thrones. It's sort of like I wake up from my crypt
Yes.
around June when it airs, and I go back to sleep after 10 weeks.
The bloodlust for
I have the bloodlust for Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
But clearly we are back because Game of Thrones is back as well.
It is back.
It came back. Today is Saturday. We are a little bit behind on recording, but it's fine.
A little bit. We were listening to Ed Sheeran all week, so we couldn't record.
You were. Yes.
So much. My favorite.
Really? Did it just kick you in the nads a little bit to see him?
I didn't know I wanted anybody else on the Iron Throne until I saw him in the episode.
So what we're asking for is Ed Sheeran's nameless character to come back, join forces with Arya, and take on Cersei and the Iron Throne.
With the power of song.
With barddom, basically.
Hell yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm down for it. It's like a D&D game of Game of Thrones.
Ed Sheeran, the bard.
Ed Sheeran the bard.
And honestly, I really enjoyed his song that was in it. But we'll get into. Well, I enjoyed Ed Sheeran overall in it. I didn't have a problem with him. A lot of people did. I don't understand it necessarily. Let the man have fun.
I love it. I'm all for it. I definitely at that point, that's where I kind of stopped paying attention and had to watch it again.
Yes. Because he does.
Ed Sheeran,
it's a little bit jarring. It is a little bit jarring.
It's weird.
Let the man have his fun, is what I say at the end of the day.
Let him love his life.
So yes, Game of Thrones came back on Sunday with an episode called Dragonstone. It was action-packed. It was full of walking and long shots.
Walking.
Long generic shots, some montages in there that I did not expect.
Some very confusing timing.
I'll
say that.
Overall, though, I would say it was exciting.
Personally, I thought it was a great start to the season.
I agree.
I think if the rest of the season is as strong as the first episode, because, I mean, and you can't always measure it with that. Like, we've had seasons before where the first and last episodes have been really, really strong. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, the first episode was great. This season, I really hope can keep the momentum going after this episode, because I thought it was a great start.
I agree, and I hope now that they have the grounds to sort of not go off the books anymore, they're this is now a completely separate entity from the books. I have nothing to refer to anymore. They're not going to piss me off anymore. They've already done as much as they can do in terms of ruining the books. So basically, they have their own sort of vast knowledge and what is the word that I'm looking for? They have a vast story that they can go forth with. And they have this cast of characters that now they have no guidance. They can do whatever they want with.
That's true. And I think I'm hoping that that's going to be beneficial to the show, because I think that is one of the kind of testing points of like last season and the season before. It's like you had that tear between the book and between what the show is doing. Isn't that good?
The wine that I'm drinking tastes a little bit like soy sauce.
Oh,
it was not what I expected at all. Anyway, so I will say that there's now a sense of freedom that they have. Doesn't it not taste like soy sauce?
That tastes exactly. Oh, put it on some shrimp.
I need some garden rolls in here. Thank you very much. Where's my California roll?
I need some kimchi.
But I'm excited to see what they're gonna do already. I mean, the book readers got something that they've never gotten in the books before, which was seeing Dany land on Dragonstone and touching Westeros land, and that is something that we've never gotten. And so, as a book reader, for me, that was a very cathartic moment to sort of watch it happen and have it play out in a way that I think. I don't know if it's going to play out the same way in the books, but it was really, really nice to have that. And because who the hell knows when the 6th book is going to come out, honestly. George R. R. Martin has been rolling around in one of those inflatable hamster balls lately. So I can't honestly say that the 6th book is going to come out anytime soon. So thank you. I've never said this before, and I don't think I will ever say it again. And I want to make sure I get their names right. Because
You got this. Keep it rolling. That's a drum roll. That's a very scary helicopter drum roll.
What I want to say is thank you to DB and David. David, is that his name? David Benioff? Yeah. I want to say thank you to DB and David for bringing Dany to Westeros, finally.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is DB and David Benioff maybe the same person? Because there's DB and David...
There's...
Maybe they're not, but
there's D.B. Weiss and David Benioff.
I'm sorry.
There are two.
Real quick side note about the writers of the show.
Yes.
It's D.B. and D.B.
D.B. and David.
D.B. and David Benioff.
No, D.B. Weiss and David Benioff.
Oh, well, it's still a D.B. and a D.B.
It is. It's D.B. and David.
That's amazing. I'm sorry. That's great. Anyway,
back
props to you guys.
Props to you for having a show for after 7 years and thus finally learning your names. It's a really big deal.
It took a little while. We wanted to get it right.
But thank you for bringing Dany to Westeros.
Thank you for bringing Dany. That was really nice to see, too, because I feel like this woman has been so torn away from, like, her home. Everything has like, up until this point... I mean, okay, I rewatched the first episode of Game of Thrones ever the other day. I know.
Nostalgia Town, eh?
Nostalgia Town. I'm still halfway through the first book. I read 2 more pages. Wow. So we're trucking slowly. I'm making my way.
Sure, you are making your way through A Song of Ice and Fire.
So slowly. I really want to take it all in. But
each page is
page.
Each page is like a new quest that you fulfilled. Let's be honest. Like
I have to roll for initiative every single time I roll. I turn a page. Ooh, rolling a page. That I've been playing too much D&D.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it. But I was rewatching it, and it's so satisfying to see her touch down on Dragonstone, because Dragonstone, that's one thing that I feel like has really been driving her character this whole time, because she is a conqueror. Like and she's good at it. Like she's a very good conqueror. But I think deep down, like her whole thing is she wants to go home. She wants to go home, and I mean, she wants to own that home. Like, she wants to own that land. She wants to conquer it, but she wants to be there.
Yeah.
And so to see her touch down on Targaryen land where she was born, to, like, have that return.
To grab the ground up in her hands.
Yeah.
And to be able to walk through the place that she was born.
Exactly. That was amazing. Thing. Like, I got kind of emotional at that part.
I absolutely did, too. And a lot of people said that it took too long. Why would she kneel on the ground and pick up the sand? And I'm like... Dude, she hasn't been home in years.
Okay, that's like a monster person who's like, I haven't been home in 20 years, but, you know, screw this place.
Yeah, and a lot of people had issues with her walking through and them just sort of walking through and there not being anybody to guard Dragonstone. And I know that Dragonstone is technically in the Lannisters' grasp. It belonged to Stannis. Before Stannis left, obviously, he's not going to come back and claim it.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. I'm fine over that.
We're gonna get
everything
past
is everything is still okay with my mantis.
Take a minute. Raise a glass to mantis. Someone we will never see again.
I do. Cheers to Stannis.
Cheers to Stannis.
I miss him so much. But Dragonstone basically was given to Stannis by Robert Baratheon after they took it from the Targaryens in the Robert's Rebellion.
It makes sense to me that nobody was guarding it, because that did bother me at first. I was like, this place is a ghost town. That's weird. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me that nobody would be watching this place. But at the same time, and you'll correct me on what season this is, in an earlier season, Stannis talks about how when they were on Dragonstone, they were mining it, and all they found was quote unquote like useless Dragonstone. So it makes sense that they abandoned that.
Season that is, but I know that he's talking to Sam, so it's whenever Stannis and Sam overlap at some point, which is got to be season 4?
Probably.
I will say, seeing Dragonstone, it looked beautiful.
Gorgeous.
It was everything I expected it to look. I love it for what it was for Stannis. It was the reason Stannis. So when Daenerys and Viserion fled to Pentos, Stannis lost them. Clearly, he lost. So as a sort of like slap in the face, Robert gave Storm's End to Renly, which is like the Baratheon castle, and gave Dragonstone to Stannis as a sort of slap in the face. Like, you lost. You suck.
You right?
Suck. Is that right?
Take this.
Okay. So basically, Dragonstone was Stannis's until he left. So it makes sense that Dragonstone was not guarded. And even if it had been, Cersei doesn't care about it. No. She knows that it's the easiest place for Daenerys to land, and she doesn't want to waste troops on Dragonstone.
Right, and that's one of my favorite parts of this entire episode is that this episode set up where everybody's gonna land together.
Absolutely. It really sets up the teams.
It really does, which is awesome. Like, I'm so excited about that because it shows you Dany landing there. It shows Cersei saying the Dragon Queen is probably gonna land on Dragonstone first. You have Sam going, hey, guess where there's dragon glass? Dragonstone, thank you. And so you know that awesome. Everyone is gonna converge there, and it's amazing. Like, it's so cool to see like all of these groups finally coming together and that's why it's especially weird to go back to like, episode 1, where again, like Dany, her one thing is, I want to go home. Mm-hmm. She says that to her brother, I want to go home. So, I mean, it's so cool to see her landing there, but it's also amazing to see all these characters come together after not only we've seen them all individually grow and now have to deal with each other. So, like, the Starks are kind of butting heads a little bit, which is interesting.
It's all right, though. They should be.
They should be, absolutely. And I think that they'll make it work. I hope they do.
I think they will too.
I really hope they do.
In terms of Jon, and we're talking about Jon and Sansa, obviously. And I think we should just dive right into sort of the episode in terms of the Starks. Like, we can talk about the Starks first. Yes. I think that the Starks, there's a convergence theme, once again, that's happening with the Starks. With Jon and Sansa, with Bran slowly making his way. He is now under the wall. He is now on this side of Westeros. Yeah. Bran is coming home as well. There's an idea that the Starks are going to start bashing heads again and sort of like butting into each other. And if anything we've learned about the Starks is that they believe in family and they believe in resilience, and they will find each other in the darkest of times. Yeah. And I think, and even though the Starks have all been so separated for so long, that for them not to listen to each other, for Jon and Sansa to look at each other and not have heard each other, would be a very problematic way that this episode would have played out. Instead, Jon and Sansa have a conversation. Clearly they're butting heads. Clearly they are deciding. They have very different opinions. But they have a conversation and sit down and talk to each other about it.
Yeah, well, that's what was nice to see is like, they do butt heads, but then eventually, like, when they do talk, it's very civil, and they have a good conversation about it. It's not just like, my side is right, no, my side is right. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of hope that, like, they will be able to kind of work together. And that's actually why, first of all, one thing I think is interesting is that there are so many Starks left. That was amazing to me.
The majority of the people that are left are Starks of the main cast.
There's 2 Lannisters left. Yeah. Like, there's which is like, I mean, that ups the stakes for like Cersei and them. Mm-hmm. But that was amazing to me is like, there have been so many Starks lost, but there are still so many freaking so many Starks gained. Getting those gains in. But like, so that's been amazing to see is like all of them, but they've also kind of experienced like such different hardships and have become their own people. So seeing them come together and trying to work together is almost frustrating because we've seen all of their personal journeys. And so seeing those try to come together and then kind of clashing because of it is frustrating. And that's actually why it's hard to even think about, like, who should be in the Iron Throne now. Like, that's what's been bothering me is, like, I don't know anymore because, to me, this has become more of a team show rather than an individual show.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's sort of what they're going to realize is that perhaps the Iron Throne cannot be run by one specific person.
I hope.
Maybe the Iron Throne belongs to King's Landing and those lower parts, and then the North is run by whoever is sitting on Winterfell's throne, and then the Riverlands is run by whoever is sitting on Dragonstone. And that could work out very well. There doesn't need to be one ruler of the 7 kingdoms. As Jaime said to Cersei when she said, I'm ruler of the 7 kingdoms, he goes, you're ruler of 3.
Yeah.
On a good day. Let's be honest.
That's
here.
true, yeah.
So I think that the Seven Kingdoms are going to fall a little bit. And they're going to have to rebuild that. But I think that that's going to come in season 8. And season 7 is more about what can we do, how Westeros itself is going to fall.
Yeah.
And season 8 is going to be about rebuilding a new Westeros that has a different type of leadership ability. Maybe not a monarchy, something else.
Well, and that's what's kind of complicated is because in this season, I totally go with that. Like, I'm like, yes, I think that's what's going to happen. But at the same time, like, they can't be divided because the next season is going to face this worldwide threat that they all need to deal with. So it's kind of like they all need to maybe be their own thing, but at the same time, everybody needs to band together to face one common enemy.
Which they never will.
I don't know that they will. Yeah. I mean, it's... and I said this to you earlier, but it's kind of like Jon is up in the north being like the climate change believer, whereas everybody else is like a Trump supporter and like doesn't believe that like this is actually happening. And so there's two very different wars going on, and it's frustrating.
It is extremely frustrating because the viewers clearly know which is the bigger war.
Right.
What the big threat is. The big threat is the Long Night, right? The big threat is the Night's King. That's clearly. And Cersei, the Lannisters, the people down in King's Landing that don't really have to deal with winter, don't see it. They are seeing a very micro picture. They're not seeing the macro picture, right? Euron Greyjoy is like, I will get you whatever you want. I'll get you all your prizes. But he has ships. Who can really fight White Walkers? Right. Dragonglass.
Exactly.
So once they realize that this fight is bigger than them, which they will, they're going to lose a lot of people beforehand.
Oh, yeah. But it's going to take a lot for them to get there, but,
But I think that season 8 is going to be more about fighting the Long Night.
I agree.
I think that season 7 is going to be, like I said, a lot more about playing the game. And the game is going to finish out at the end of season 7. And then season 8 is going to be all about Azor Ahai. The wall is going to come down. Yeah. It's going to be all about the big bads.
Oh, yeah. No, oh, man, it's going to be weird.
Season 7, episode 1, Dragonstone. We've talked a lot about overarching themes, but let's talk about the characters specifically. We opened with Arya.
Oh, did we?
And what an opening.
My God. It was amazing. Like that.
There were no words.
No. There were screams coming from my apartment. Yes. Like, all of us were just kind of freaking out because we all realized at the same time that this wasn't... I thought it was a flashback at first. And then I was like, this show doesn't do like, I know, I get it.
I think the telling part was David Bradley, the actor, did such a good job at... Yes. You could tell it wasn't Walder Frey.
That's true, yeah.
It was Walder Frey, but he did these certain... Like, you could tell Arya was so uncomfortable being in this murderer's skin.
Oh, yeah.
And he did such a good job with that. I loved it, and I think that what a way to start out the season, to not have the intro go, to not have the Game of Thrones song start in the beginning. I remember I got kind of confused, and I went back. Because I was like, whoa, what happened? But that they would only choose to do that in a moment of pure adrenaline, and that's what this was. And then they shot us into the theme song right after that. It was good.
It was really good.
I would say that was the best part of the episode, and it got a little bit slower from there on out. I would say that it really, really, that first scene with Arya killing all the Freys, murdering literally every single male Frey that is within... Oh,
there's no one else to carry the bloodline.
There's no more Freys left in the Riverlands.
The Frey's afraid, and it's amazing.
Revenge is a dish best served with a side of wine, eh?
Yes, and with a meat pie made of your sons.
Yeah. How's it feel, Walder Frey?
Sweet Todd. That's not based on any song from that. But okay, so the thing that I heard was fan service from like I don't even remember. Like there are a few Twitter accounts saying like, oh, like okay, murder all the Freys. That's a fan service thing. And I was like, no, I think that was actually a pretty important character building thing. Like, that's Arya checking off her list. That's
Arya
huge.
has a list, y'all.
And she's going by it, and she's scary now. Like, Arya is brutal, and we had to see that happen. Like, I feel like this kind of kicked off what we can expect from her. And like,
I agree. I think that Arya has become a vehicle of vengeance for the Starks. I think that she is fulfilling what Lady Stoneheart fulfilled in the books. And it really begs the question of how far she's going to go.
Yeah.
So, yes, the Freys had everything to do with the murder of her brother and her mother. I fully agree with the Freys being murdered, but arguably the ones responsible for the Red Wedding, which are Roose Bolton, Walder Frey and Tywin Daddy Lannister, I mean, they're all dead. They're all dead. Yeah. What?
Tywin Daddy Lannister.
I mean, he is. Let's not beat around the bush here. Let's not beat around the bush here and ignore what Tywin is.
Oh,
we all know
God.
that I love him. So why did she have then? Has she not learned anything from the House of Black and White? If there's Valar Morghulis, there's also Valar Dohaeris. All men must serve. All men must reap what they sow. For every life taken, something must be given.
Well, I think that shows that I don't know that she ever did fall fully into the beliefs that you're supposed to when you're in the House of Black and White. Because, I mean, she hid Needle. I mean, there's that alone.
Yep.
And that was, I think, a good kind of metaphor and setup for her now. Because, yes, like, she's gone through the whole House of Black and White process. And, like,
And she put us through the whole House of Black and White process.
all through that. Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, she's very driven by vengeance. And if you're truly in the House of Black and White and you're truly a faceless man and you're no one, you have no vengeance to be driven by. Yeah.
So what you're saying is her whole time at the House of Black and White was completely wasted.
No, I don't think I don't think it was wasted. I think this might be a stretch, but I almost think that she played them a little bit. Like, she wanted to learn the skills. She didn't want to give up her vengeance. She wanted to learn the skills to be able to check off her list.
Yes.
And she's doing that now, but...
Well, my question is, will Jack and Hagar let it stand?
Yeah.
This girl is out there in the world. She just decimated an entire family. She pulled a Tywin Lannister. She pulled a Red Wedding. She pulled the Raids of Castamere. I mean, she literally killed an entire family.
Yeah.
So the question is who's going to come after her for that?
Yeah.
Because I think that she's going to have to pay back.
Oh, I don't know if she's getting out of this without something happening
I think
to her.
whatever gods exist, if it's the Red God, if it's the House of Black and White, balance is important, and she killed an entire family. And
she ended a bloodline.
She did. She didn't kill the women.
True.
But the name
isn't going anywhere anymore.
So I guess I'm just interested to see how far they're going to push Arya this season. The scene with her and Ed Sheeran and the Lannister soldiers was actually really beautiful. It allowed us to see a different side of Lannister soldiers.
Yeah.
They didn't outright say that they were Lannister soldiers. They were just hanging out, drinking their wine. One of them made wine. One of them was married. They have children, you know.
One of them asked her, are you old enough to drink? And it's like, this is the forest, dude.
Right, exactly.
Everyone's old enough to drink in the forest. It's fine.
And so the question is Arya going to kill them? Or we'll have to see how far she can go. Because if this wakes her up to the fact that not all Lannisters are evil, not all Lannisters are bloodlust and have it out for everyone, we'll see, because it could be a really learning, like, teaching moment for Arya. I'm really excited to see whether or not she'll be Lady Stoneheart and whether or not she'll survive the season. Because if she turns into Lady Stoneheart, I don't think that she will.
Yeah.
If she's a vehicle for vengeance, if she is just there to sort of kill everybody and exist in an aggressive and angry way, I don't think she'll survive. That's why I'm really glad that they showed Nymeria in the promo for next week.
Yes, because that'll hopefully, like, be a little nod to, like, this is who you were, and, like, remember who you are, Simba.
Remember your roots.
Remember your roots. Like, you are a Stark.
It'll give her something to live for and also a partner to fight with and fight for.
Exactly.
And so I'm hoping that this is just a phase for Arya, that this was her one major thing, and after Cersei, hopefully she can just...
Well,
let sleeping dog lie. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, let sleeping lions lie. I hope. I mean, and it's one of those things, too, where I would like to see Jaime kill Cersei, but at the same time, I do feel like it's been so set up that, I mean, we know that that's, like, Arya's main goal. She wants to off Cersei. Like, but I don't know if I'd want to see her go all that way. Like, I feel like a better character arc for her would be that she no longer needs to be the one to kill Cersei. Like, as soon as Cersei's gone, so is her...
I could see her having a hand in it, and perhaps her and Jaime work together.
That's what I was thinking, that she's going to help set it up, and then
But I feel like that's too good to be true on some level. I don't know, because that's what a CW show would do.
That is what a CW,
that's what a CW, CBS, NBC show would do. This is Game of Thrones. This is HBO. Nothing is going to be what we expect it to be.
That's true.
So I'm
hopefully not.
Hopefully not. And also, that's why I'm hoping that Arya isn't evil. they really don't make her out to be the evil character. Because it's so easy to do.
Oh, yeah.
They don't really have a villain right now. We don't have... we have the be-all, end-all evil.
You just have the game.
And we have Cersei, but everybody plays the game.
Yeah.
Exactly. The game and the Night's King.
Yeah,
are basically our evils right now. So we don't have, like, a Ramsay Bolton, a Joffrey...
which scares me greatly. Like,
I agree.
Oh god, like it's scary to not have someone in the show to really, really genuinely like hate with every fiber of your being.
And I wonder, it could be Randall Tarley who is going to show up again in this next episode. It could be Euron Greyjoy.
Yeah, if he ever makes it to his great Green Day concert.
He ever leaves his Green Day concert.
He never left. He heard them once, and as soon as he heard I Walk Alone,
Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Boulevard of Broken Dreams, he never went back.
It's his theme song.
It is.
But yeah, I think I'm interested to see what Arya does. And if she will be able to make it to King's Landing. I want to see her reunite with her siblings, honestly. That's what everybody wants.
So badly.
I know
That's all I want.
It's all we want, but
I
don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I think that Bran is next.
Bran is totally next.
In terms of the reuniting.
As soon as he was at the wall and kind of saying, like, I need to tell my brother who Daenerys is, I was like, you need to send a raven. Send a pigeon. I don't care what you send. I need this. I need Jon to know. I need Jon to know about who Dany actually is and his family. And
I agree.
Where he came from.
And I think Bran is maybe my favorite character.
Oh, yeah.
In Game of Thrones besides Davos.
Always.
And I just am fascinated by what they've done with his character, how they prematurely made him the Three-Eyed Raven. I think that that's a really interesting move. Mm-hmm. And to make this young boy who is crippled and has had his whole world ripped away from him, to give him the world in a gift of green sight, I think that's going to ruin everything. I think that Bran is either going... I don't think he's a villain necessarily, but I think because of Bran, everything is going to go to complete chaos. Because now that Bran is under the wall and knows everything and has access to everything and is no longer with someone that can guide him, I'm really worried.
I think it could go one of two ways. I think it could either lead to chaos or it could help, because I mean that's what I immediately thought when he got to the wall. I was like, he's gonna be the asset in uniting Dany and Jon. But at the same time, like I guess okay, explain more. I'm curious. Why do you think it'll lead to utter destruction?
I think that Bran has powers that are way too powerful for him.
Okay.
And he does not know how to utilize them. We have already seen that he can affect time.
Yeah.
I think that clearly he's the one that drove Aerys Targaryen insane way back when.
I love that theory,
Because he doesn't know how to use it yet, and because he lost his mentor, there's going to be a lot more questions that Bran doesn't have answers to. And because of that, I think that Bran is really smart, but I also think that he's a child.
Yeah.
And he doesn't think that he needs a parent or a teacher to guide him. So he's just going to start looking into the green site more and looking into the future and spending all of that time in the future. And remember what the Three-Eyed Raven said about it being, you can drown.
Yeah.
I think Bran is going to go so far that, and I don't think that what I mean by saying it's all chaos is that this is all chaos that Bran has already created.
Okay.
It's all Bran's fault.
Yeah, I do.
It's
okay, I totally
fault.
buy that.
And I love him so much, and I want the best for this kid. But honestly, I think that he's the chaos bringer, and I think that it's all his fault, and because he didn't mean to do it. I mean, he killed his best friend.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and I think that he is so powerful, and there is no one that knows how to help him. Because the Three-Eyed Raven is dead.
Yeah. That like shatters like
I'm really nervous for
you a little bit. I am too. Like now, well, maybe okay. Oh my god. Okay, so like there was that Littlefinger quote about all possibilities and realities.
It's all happening at the same time.
At the same time. Mm-hmm. So then, would this be Bran's fault?
Yeah.
Or
that's what I'm saying. That Littlefinger quote. Thank you for bringing it back.
You're
all
welcome.
About how our realities are all happening at the same time and make it a super sci-fi.
Because that sounds like like hippie Littlefinger.
Yeah, but it's. I think it's real. I think that because Bran can play in time and has that advantage, it's also a disadvantage, and he has no teacher and no guidance. He's just going to go in. He's going to go in. He knows who Jon is. So by the time Bran is going to get back, and I think he's going to share what he's learned. He's not an idiot. He's not going to just keep it to himself.
No.
But that's also going to mess people up. And the more he learns, the more he tells, the more people know.
And people should not have access to the information of the past, so that's changing the future. Oh my God.
I think what
is this show anymore?
It brings me back to the theory I said way back when that Bran is like the main character and the main hero of this. But he's seen too much because he's caused too much because he's seen too much. Like, it's a vicious cycle, and Bran is the one to watch, and now that he's across the wall, like, I'm worried. I'm really worried.
Yeah, I am too. Oh my God.
That was like my big thing, because I love Bran and I love Mira. I think Mira is one of the most beautiful, intelligent, strongest characters in the show.
Oh yeah.
Also, I want to give a big ups to the actress actually that plays her, Ellie Kendrick. When she pulls Bran up to the wall and says, "This is Brandon Stark." She looks like she's lost everything at that point. Like, the actress did such, and she has. I mean, she watched her brother get blown up. She's been having to take care of a cripple and pull him through the woods, fighting White Walkers.
With Benjen, right?
She's been alone.
She's been alone. Yeah, she's been
Brandon.
Right.
Bran. Dragging Bran into the wall. Now they're finally at the wall, and and also interesting, if they keep Mira around, which I think that they will, her father is the only one that can corroborate Bran's story.
Oh.
So if Mira sticks around, and if Howland Reed is still alive, if he survived the War of the Five Kings, which I think he did, I'm hoping he did. He's the only one that can corroborate Bran saying that Jon is a Targaryen.
Yeah, you're right.
Even though he wasn't there, he was there. He can say yes to all of the weird.
He can confirm.
He can confirm everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Oh God, I'm like really hung up on the Bran thing right now.
I'm sorry.
Like,
I'm sorry.
But that would be fitting for the show, is like this kind of character who, like, we know what he can do and we know that he's powerful, but he doesn't right now seem like this main player, whereas he could actually be the main player.
The one.
Oh my God.
The end all be all.
I need more wine.
But I do want to talk a little bit about Bran's vision of the White Walkers.
Yes.
Because it's important that Bran is obviously he's toying around with Greensight without any guidance right now. So we know that this is a thing that he's doing. He sees a vision of the White Walkers near the wall.
Yeah.
The Hound also sees a vision of the White Walkers at Eastwatch by the Sea.
Right.
Jon has sent Tormund to man Eastwatch by the Sea. We know that Eastwatch by the Sea is the first castle that's going to be raided. There was a theory that the giant scene was 1-1.
I thought it was.
I don't.
What? Okay.
Well, first of all, he was shot
a White
in his
Walker?
right eye, and his right eye is fine as a White Walker. And then, of course, the Night's King could have replaced his eye with a blue eye. Like, that could have made sense. But I think Jon would have burned 1-1's body. I don't think that Jon would have allowed 1-1's body to just decompose or bury it, because that was his friend.
Yeah.
And I know that Jon had a lot to do after the Battle of Winterfell.
He was busy.
But you know what happens to dead bodies when they get left for too long. And I don't know if Winterfell is maybe enough south that doesn't affect them.
That zoom in seemed significant. You know what I mean? Like, it seemed like a zoom in that was supposed to mean something. Because, we know they have multiple giants. Like, that's already, that means enough in itself. But the fact that they zoomed in on that one, and this is getting very, like, film nerd technical, but, like, everything on screen has a purpose. And so I feel like if they were gonna zoom in on anything, and if it wasn't 1-1, they would have just zoomed in on, like, maybe the Night's King.
I don't know, but there's an effect. Like, oh God, they have a dragon. They have a dragon. Oh God, they have a giant. Like,
they have multiple giants.
They have multiple giants. So the fact that they zoom in on one, I don't think that 1-1.
1-1, yeah.
On one, I don't think that it necessarily means that it's 1-1. How could and okay?
It's not the 1-1.
It's not the 1-1. It could be 1.
Exactly.
Now, I could be wrong, because clearly this is a vision.
Yeah.
It is not happening right now. So.
True.
This could be beyond. This could be after the Night's King has somehow made it across the wall, found 1-1's body, and has moved back across the wall. Who knows? I just think that it's kind of like beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
Like, 1-1 is dead. There's no need for Jon to have to re-kill him. I just don't really see it being necessary, I guess. That's sort of my thing. And I guess they could do it, and it could be a thing. I just don't think they need to.
I hope they do.
I don't.
I'm a monster.
You are a monster. God.
I don't know.
You want Jon to have to kill 1-1 again?
Yeah.
You freak. You freak.
It just, I don't know. That's how I feel.
That's fine. You can feel that way.
I do.
I really hope it's not 1-1.
Here's why. The reason why is because this is a season of convergence. Like,
yes.
Everything in this season is coming together, and it's kind of mind-blowing, just because up until maybe last season, everything was so isolated. Everything was its own story, separate, and now it's all coming together. So I feel like that would just kind of be the button on it. Like, it would be another domino falling in this connected.
Yes, and it would be like, here, Jon. Feel this.
Yeah, exactly.
Feel this. Your old war buddy got reanimated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
feel?
Which is awful.
And I think that it would be very telling, but I also don't think that Jon needs any more drama.
True.
Or trauma in his life. I don't think that they're going to give us more, because my whole theory about Jon being evil, I still want Jon to be evil at the end of it all. So I don't want Jon to have any more trauma than he needs, because he's going to be evil at the end of it all. So it doesn't even matter.
But the Empress decided, let's ask Bran.
Ask Bran.
Ask Bran. He knows.
Bran knows what's going on.
Check in with him.
But to continue with the Starks, and I know we touched on this a little bit, I'm really happy that Jon and Sansa are together.
Yes.
I think that Sansa is one of the most important, if not the most important character to keep an eye on, in terms of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Because this girl has been there from the beginning. She has two of the best teachers in the game, Littlefinger and Cersei.
Yeah.
And she has been watching, and she has been learning. She's not allowed to be saying anything, and instead of figuring out how exactly to survive, and she's figured out how to survive without being a blip on anybody's radar.
Exactly.
And I've heard people refer to Sansa as a villain, as a horrible character. I'm like, y'all have no idea. But you do, because you've seen what she's been through, so how can you see her in that way?
I mean, honestly, I can see her becoming a villain because of what she's gone through. Like, I think that could easily affect someone to make them into a villain. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to happen with her.
I really hope it doesn't.
I don't think it will.
I could see them doing it because they sort of have a history of, women on the show don't get treated very well.
No, they don't.
Look, all the women are in charge right now, but it has taken 7 years for us to get here. No,
that's true. And I mean, that's why it was frustrating to see her butting heads with Jon and Jon not listening to her more. It wasn't the time. Like, it wasn't the time and place. But at the same time, like, given what she's gone through, we don't actually know how much Jon even knows about that.
He does not know how to lead. Jon has no idea how to lead. Sansa knows. And I'm not saying that I agree with her on what she said to give the Karstark and Umber family homes to families that have been supportive of the Starks the whole time. Right. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that Jon was actually right. But what she said afterward about him needing to listen to her, and him seeing and not looking at her like she's a little girl anymore, because she is not. Right. That girl has been through the ringer.
That's the biggest thing, is that we've seen them all grow and develop into individual people separate from each other. And the last time they saw each other, they were children. They were children. They were all children, but, Jon was older. And Sansa's actually seen the world. Like, she's seen how the world works. Jon hasn't.
No.
And that's one thing that I think is going to be, and that's, I think, why they're clashing right now, is because they right now are very representative of the two wars that are going on.
Yes.
Jon is representative of the war in the north, the ultimate war, the, long night. He's representative of that because that's what he's seen, and that's been the battle that he cares about, because he's been on the front lines of that. He knows. Sansa is very representative of the war for the throne.
Yeah, the game.
Right. And so them clashing is very representative of these two wars coming together and clashing, and because they're two very different battles, maybe equally important, like right now.
I would say, equally important in terms of who survives the first one.
Exactly.
Because who survived the first one, you'll have a very good idea of who will survive the next one.
Right. So it makes sense that they're clashing, and it does, but I think it's going to be crucial that, because Jon as a leader, I don't think right now I'd even want to see him sitting on the Iron Throne, because he doesn't really know how to lead the real Westeros world. Like,
and he has no desire to sit on the Iron Throne, I don't think.
No, I don't know that he does either, yeah.
I don't think that Jon wants to lead. I think that it's sort of that he is this mantle that he has taken up, because he is the only remaining Stark left. Now that Bran comes back,
yeah,
we'll see, because Bran is technically the rightful heir to Winterfell.
Is he?
I mean, he
Oh,
is.
God, yeah, that's right, he is.
And there's a lot that has happened since then. I mean, Jon was pardoned. Jon is no longer a bastard. He is technically a Stark, but Jon is not really a Stark. He's a Targaryen. So,
yeah.
I mean, he's a Stark, but he's not Ned Stark's son.
Right.
He is not the heir to Winterfell as much as Sansa and Bran are. So once Bran shows up, the question is, will Bran want to be the Lord of Winterfell? And I don't think that he will.
I don't think that he will. How can you want to be the Lord of one place when you have all of time and...
Yeah, right. That he's like, nah, it's too small for me.
He's the doctor.
He is.
Bran is the doctor.
Bran is basically the doctor. Yeah. I will say that I think Sansa is a character to watch out for this season.
Agreed.
I think that she is coming into her own. She has a lot to say, and you would be dumb to ignore her.
I agree.
Absolutely. She has learned, like I said, from the best.
I think Littlefinger's getting afraid of her.
Littlefinger is totally afraid of her.
Yeah.
Did you see how she shut him down in the last episode?
I
know
assume
what
it was
he
something
wants.
clever.
No, yeah, right? Oh my God.
So good. Mic drop moment.
She's amazing. Sansa, and like she's even wearing her hair like Cersei, but
yeah.
I don't think she's going to be a villain. I think this is Sansa taking that and making it her own.
I completely agree.
And her just being her own badass woman self. I cannot say anything more than my support for Sansa at this point.
I completely agree, yeah.
I think that she is a great advisor for Jon to have. Jon needs to listen to her. Sansa needs to listen to Jon.
Yeah.
They both need to listen to each other. That is how they will find a way to rule Westeros together. Or Winterfell, or win the war, or whatever they're doing. They have to do it together.
I completely agree.
Only way. And the fact that, like I said, they had the conversation about it, and she was like, you need to listen to me, and he was like, you need to listen to me, and they were like, okay. Let's listen to each other.
That was a great scene, because it could have ended very differently, but they were still like, you gonna listen to me? Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it was very chill. Like they walked away pretty chill. They did. With each other.
And it's like how much in Westeros could be solved by people just talking to each other.
Literally everything. Everything could be solved.
Like they didn't say what they were feeling. They said what they were thinking. Right. They both said exactly what they need. They said what they were feeling and what they were thinking. They didn't say what they needed to say.
Exactly.
What they were supposed to say. Both Jon and Sansa said what they needed to say.
Yeah.
And the other one heard them. And I think that's where the Starks... that's why they're so important, and that's why we followed their journey, and there's this convergence of them coming back together after these 7 years of us watching. We're seeing what the Starks have learned.
Yeah.
And how they are going to win.
Well, and the four of them four? Wait.
Arya,
Jon, Sansa, Arya,
Jon, and Bran.
Yes.
Yeah.
The four of them together, can you imagine that as they're like a little army. I mean, with everything they've learned individually, they almost make up this one perfect,
human.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Which is amazing.
And I want to see them all four of them together.
Yes.
So badly. Because I think, clearly we're going to see Bran meet up with Jon and Sansa. That's going to happen. Arya is the wild card.
She needs to make it there. She needs to make it there. Just to say hi. I don't care what happens after that.
She's in winter. In the promo, she is covered in snow. So is Nymeria. Maybe she has a change of heart and goes toward Winterfell.
Yeah.
And decides, I can't do this by myself.
I hope.
Can't kill the queen by myself. I need my family.
I really hope. I hope that. Well, I hope that's what Nymeria makes her feel.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
I hope
Nymeria
that's why she comes back.
reminds her of her home again.
Right.
Jumping text though. Let's talk a little bit about Jaime and Cersei, because they were in the episode.
They were.
And Euron. We do have to talk about the the one thorn in my side.
Oh, man. The guy who home brews kombucha and then listens to angsty.
And only orders decaf.
Yeah, only orders decaf. Yeah, exactly.
Who belongs in Wicker Park, literally.
Oh, yeah,
that's
sure.
what you said. He said
somewhere between Logan Square and Wicker Park. Yeah. That's where he lives, in a garden unit.
In the garden unit studio apartment.
Oh, yeah. It's his art studio and his music studio, and he just keeps a mattress there.
I think that Euron Greyjoy is one of the most frustrating villains in the books. He's really annoying in the books.
Oh, really?
I find him grating, and he's just very full of himself, very machismo. Is that a word?
It is now. It sounds like a luchador wrestler.
Yeah, I know. He's got machismo and aggressive, and I loved what he said to Cersei. I loved all of his snide remarks about Jaime. That made me laugh so hard.
So good.
I never killed my brother. Oh, you should try it sometime. Yeah. Oh, and I have 2 good hands. It was very funny, it was also very campy, and I felt like we were watching a CW show.
I completely feel like we were watching CW. I saw a tweet that said, since when, like, was there an extra from Once Upon a Time in the show? And I was like, that's exactly what this looks like. I am not sold on
And I have nothing against CW shows.
Oh, yeah.
Let me just say, first of all, I love Jane the Virgin. I love Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Supernatural is...
one of my favorites.
Yeah,
forever.
I know Sam and Dean are my boys.
The Flash.
Love it. But we're talking about HBO.
Yes.
We're talking about HBO.
Exactly.
Okay? Now you can go ahead.
No, that is okay. That's a good... Okay. I'm not sold on Euron. I haven't been, and it's probably because I haven't read any of his parts in the book, but also...
It's not.
I don't know. I hope he has the dragon binder, because that is one thing where, like, when I first heard about that as like a theory of, he's back so that he can control the dragons, I was like, please don't let that be the case. Like, I don't want to see that. Now I do, and I feel like it'd be great because it's kind of set up... I mean, it's set up so that he's bringing Cersei this great gift, which I think is probably going to be the Sand Snakes.
Well, clearly from the preview of the next episode, he's back and he has the Sand Snakes in tow. We're not sure if that's the gift he's talking about. And just to quickly clarify, the Dragon Binder is also called the Hellhorn. It's a large dragon horn that Euron has. It's made from the horn of an enormous dragon with Valyrian steel. It also has a bunch of Valyrian glyphs on it, and basically it controls dragons. That's all I can say.
But I think that would be so cool, because, like, and if his only that would make me like him as a character, or at least be interested, because...
he would have a control object that no one has had so far.
Not only that, but... if you take away Dany's dragons, she has an army, but what is she, really? Like, what can she do?
She's the mother of dragons, damn it.
She's the mother of dragons. That's in her extremely long name. Like, when you take away the dragons, you kind of take away her biggest chance. And so seeing that be taken away, and then maybe seeing her win after not having her dragons, that to me would be the biggest character moment for her, because she wouldn't have this fallback to rely on.
I think that right now Euron has the dragon binder.
I hope he does. I hope that's the gift.
I think that he already has it. I think that his gift is going to be a dragon.
Oh,
I think awesome. That he is going to somehow steal one of Daenerys' dragons. I think it's going to be Rhaegal or Viserion. It's not going to be Drogon.
No, not Drogon.
I think that absolutely he already has it. They've made no mention of it so far, except for this gift that everybody is guessing is the Dragonhorn. I think he already has it, and he is preparing something crazy. And the Sand Snakes are just part of the deal.
They should always just be part of the deal.
Because I hate them. I hate them. Just
so
let them
much.
die. I'm so done.
Let them die. I don't care. I will love that scene. Like, I don't care.
I will say I would love to see Euron with the Hellhorn. There's a really cool scene in the fourth book where during the Kingsmoot, he basically blows it. The guy that blows the horn dies later on, and his lungs are charred as black as soot when they cut him open.
What?
So it's a really freaking cool weapon.
Oh my god.
The Dragonhorn. And the Dragon Binder. I'm really excited if they bring it in. I don't know if they will, but it is Euron's sort of trump card.
Yeah. I hope they do.
I'm nervous to see. The introduction of Euron was super clunky.
It was weird.
I will say I thought it was sort of a weak intro for his character. A lot of people weren't pleased with it, so they sort of revamped his character for this season. And I'm glad they did. I think that he's going to be a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
If he makes good on his promise and is a good villain and is a good helper for Cersei.
Yeah.
Because right now he could be. I mean, he is. Yeah. And if Cersei gets the Tarleys to join with her as well, we've got Lannister, Tarley, and Greyjoy. That's a really strong army.
That's a strong army. Yeah.
That is a strong army. There's only one Tarly that won't be there.
I know.
Because we know what he's doing instead.
Because we got like 20 minutes of what he's doing. Oh my god.
The world's longest montage. Hey, Sam, do you have a crappy life?
I don't think it was made clear.
Never
We're really
guessed.
not sure.
Never would have guessed.
I don't think they really should have focused on that more. I don't know anything about his lifestyle there. If nobody's remixed that scene into like a song of some kind, like Stomp, if Stomp's still around.
I'm sure there's a Stomp remix of Samwell Tarly's life in the Citadel.
It was very easy for him to get into the restricted section. Like,
well, he had the keys. It wasn't. He stole the keys. It's not hard when you steal the
so
keys.
easily. I mean, like, I feel like there were no stakes there. He was just like, guess I'm here now.
No
it's
stakes
like,
whatsoever.
Okay.
It was one of the weakest parts of the episode because Sam is such a fascinating character, and I feel like they don't treat him as such.
Yeah.
What he doesn't need to be met with montages, and it doesn't need to be made more interesting. What Sam is doing is interesting. He single-handedly figured out that there is tons of dragonglass, that they can kill all of the White Walkers, and we didn't need a 5-minute long montage of his life in order to do that. Sam did basically the most in this episode. He figured out the most. He met Jorah. We got to see Jorah again.
Which, oh my God, heartbreaking. What is gone on there? Like, that is just spreading fast.
It is spreading fast, but I think that he's going to be okay.
I think he is, but wow.
I mean, Daenerys did command him to get better, so...
Yeah.
If the queen commands it, so shall it be, eh?
I like it.
But, I don't know, Sam, I think he's going to be fine. I just thought that was the weakest scene.
I agree, yeah.
Of the episode.
Well, that was kind of a theme in this episode, is I mean, Game of Thrones has fallen into this pit before, where overall it's a really strong episode, but certain moments are way weaker than they should be.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, yeah, we'll get into the Hound probably, but I thought that scene was a little weaker than it should have been, in my opinion.
I think that there were some really strong points. Let's just get into it. So, clearly the Hound meets up with Beric Dondarrion and his Brotherhood Without Banners. Beric Dondarrion is maybe my ultimate man in life. Quick refresher in case, for those of you that don't know, Beric Dondarrion was brought back to life by Thoros of Myr in his last fight with the Hound. It really blew the Hound's pants off. He could not believe it, that a man could be brought back to life. And now here we are.
Well, blow my shorts.
Well, blow my shorts and call me Sandor.
Or Gregor.
Whichever one. Whatever Clegane brother you feel like being named after. So what didn't you like about the scene? The scenes, there are a few with the Hound. Yeah.
All the Hound scenes were fine, but the I should have specified the specific scene where he's staring into the fire and suddenly is like,
has a vision.
I am having a vision. That, to me, how do I even word this? As a scene, it was just kind of very rushed. Like, I feel like it was this extremely important moment, and they kind of rushed through it and just we're like, look, we spent a lot of money on the dragons, just have them look at the fire and describe it. Like, just describe it.
Yeah,
instead of seeing it or, like, doing something, like, anything else. Any little addition.
I was, like, looking into the fire and was like,
so was
we supposed to see it, too?
I was looking for, like, serious Black's face.
Yeah, or something like that. A little, like, any inkling for, like, oh, I'm supposed to be seeing what he's seeing or something like that.
Right, or, like, maybe later if you, like, look at it, like, you'll see all these conspiracy theories of, like, well, if you look at this flame, it kind of looks like the wall.
And there was nothing.
There was nothing. Which I get. Like, you didn't need it. It was kind of cool to have a scene where he's just describing it. But it was very, very rushed for what should have been a pretty important... They could have cut into the montage that they had for Sam and expanded on the scene a little bit.
They could have cut that whole montage out, and I think everybody would have been fine. What I will say about that, and I have no idea why they did it this way, is maybe they wanted to push the idea that R'hllor, the Red God, is the most powerful. And even if you don't believe in him, you can see because it's fire, right? Because fire is an end-all, be-all. It exists without us. It exists with us.
Game of Ice and Fire.
A Song of Ice and Fire.
Song of Ice and Fire.
R'hllor sort of exists whether you believe in him or not. And I don't know, maybe that's like, it's sort of pushing it a little bit, because I do agree that they could have put in something. They could have done something to make it believable, because the Hound is literally afraid of fire.
Yeah.
So it would not make sense that he would just look in, have a moment, and then be like, oh, what is that? Do you see? Oh, right. Oh, you're right. So, I mean, I guess my whole thing is Red God clearly is the most powerful god in Game of Thrones. I'm not sure if it's the most powerful god in A Song of Ice and Fire, but in Game of Thrones, he definitely is.
Yeah.
We have seen the Red God act the most. We have seen him bring Jon Snow back to life.
We have seen
him bring Beric Dondarrion back to life. We've seen him prove it. We know that the Red God exists.
Right.
So that would be my only idea, is that maybe the Red God looked at Sandor Clegane and was like, you need this here.
That's fair. Okay, I buy it. I like that.
I don't know, because the Brotherhood Without Banners, I mean, you know that they're powerful. You know that they have the Red God within them.
Yeah.
So maybe it was easier, the threshold wasn't as hard to cross or whatever, because you have Thoros of Myr sitting right there looking into the flames, always been able to look into the flames.
Oh. Okay. Sorry, I'm thinking like...
Where'd you go? She went somewhere.
I'm thinking Azor Ahai.
Clearly, Azor Ahai is coming back.
Yes.
They have made so many references throughout this first episode with fire and the power of the Red God. Like I said, we know that the Red God is around. We know that he is speaking through Thoros of Myr, Melisandre, the Hound. Azor Ahai reincarnate, for sure, is happening.
Oh, yeah.
So, Azor Ahai, for those of you that don't know, I'll just do a quick little...
history lesson.
History lesson here. Let me just pull it up. Azor Ahai is one of the legendary figures in the faith of R'hllor, which is the Lord of Light. Thousands of years ago, he was the one that donned Lightbringer, the sword, which is what he used to defeat the Great Other, which is basically the Long Night.
The Long Night. She's doing a sword motion right now.
I am.
Yeah.
It's really important to me that you understand that this sword was flaming, and they showed Beric Dondarrion with a flaming sword in the promo, which makes me believe that Beric Dondarrion is Azor Ahai reincarnate. Everybody thinks it's Jon and Dany. I think it's Beric Dondarrion.
I do too, and that's actually where my mind went when we were talking before about the Hound staring into the fire, is that I was like, oh, I think it's Beric. Yeah.
So basically, it is said that during the Long Night, and I'm just going to read this directly from the Game of Thrones wiki because I'm lazy. So basically, it is said that I'm reading this from the Game of Thrones wiki. It is said that during the Long Night, Azor Ahai rose up and defeated the others, wielding a sword of fire called Lightbringer. Darkness lay all over the world, and he was the hero chosen to fight against it. To fight it, he needed to forge the hero's sword, which he labored for 30 days and 30 nights until it was done. However, when he went to temper it in water, it broke. So he had to redo it and did it for 50 days and 50 nights. And then to temper this, he captured a lion and drove the sword into his heart, but it shattered again. So he knew that he had to kill the love of his life in order to keep the sword from being broken. And he drove the heart into the love of his life, Nissa, and killed her. And that was how, combining her soul with the steel of the sword, thus creating Lightbringer, the sword. So basically, the Lord of Light, the prince that was promised, the Lord of Light created the prince that was promised, aka Azor Ahai, who is coming back at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Because they have not stopped talking about it. They referenced the Long Night how many times in the first episode?
So many times.
I believe that Azor Ahai is coming back. I want to ask you who you think Azor Ahai is. I think it's Beric Dondarrion. I think almost that's too easy or too difficult because he's not as well known of a character. A lot of people see it being a mixture of Dan and Johnny.
Dan and Johnny, the 50s band.
Of Jon and Dany because they're fire and ice. I think it could also be Jorah. I think it could be the Hound. I think it could be Arya. I think it could be anybody under the sun, and they are not going to give it to us until we know.
I agree. I mean,
It could be Davos. That was my first ever theory. Y'all, are you ready for this? That Davos is the prince that was promised. He is going to bear Lightbringer, and he is the only one that George R. R. Martin told a secret to, Liam Cunningham.
So, interesting. Okay.
You know.
That'd be great, actually.
So, there's a lot of possibilities of who Azor Ahai could be.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they choose one that is kind of surprising. I like the idea that it might be the Hound, just because for him to look into the flames and see, and for him to be afraid of flames, too. I actually think that would be amazing. That would be a really cool thing. I also like the idea that it would be Jon and Dany. I think it's Beric. After what we've talked about, and after I think it is. I think it's Beric.
I do too.
My God. Yes,
that was me silently celebrating that she agrees with me.
Yes.
High five on that. Beric Dondarrion has been brought back to life so many times.
And they keep shoving it down our throats like, why have you been brought back?
I don't know.
Like, he has no idea.
Just chosen, I guess.
He keeps saying it. And so it's like, if you keep saying this, there's gotta be a reason.
Honestly, they wouldn't have brought him back. Thoros is an important character.
Yeah.
Thoros of Myr is a very important character. He is very indebted to the Red God. He's very tied to the Red God. You can tell that he is, a way to speak through the Red God. Beric Dondarrion, on the other hand, he was never a good guy. So
No.
why did R'hllor choose him?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
To perhaps wield a flaming sword and bring down the wall and ride the stone dragon?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really interested to know actually who everybody's theories on Azor Ahai is, because clearly that's what's going to happen this season.
Oh, yeah.
They're
leading up to that so heavily.
They're leading up to that and the wall falling down, I think.
Yes, I agree. What?
You looked out the window like...
Oh, no, that was me looking into the future of Game of Thrones.
How's it looking?
Bleak, man.
As always. As Game of Thrones always looks.
Ain't nothing good.
Yeah, ain't nothing. It doesn't look good. I'm guessing... Okay, is there anything else that we've missed that you want to talk about this episode before we talk about the season as a whole?
I think that about covered it. I mean, I think Ed Sheeran was such a shining beacon for me in this episode that I can't look beyond
sweet.
it.
I thought it was really, really...
It's sweet, but also I just, like, I want to know where Gendry is.
Don't we all?
Where did he go?
I was expecting him to be... Oh, we didn't talk about really Dany putting her hands on the table that Stannis and Melisandre banged on. But I was expecting Gendry to just be lying there and he's like, hey, wait. Been waiting for you. Where you been? Like, just like him sitting on, like the throne and her just like,
this is my kingdom.
Hey, I've been keeping it warm for you. Like
his arms are just giant from all the rowing.
Yeah, big arms.
So much rowing. He's the secret weapon.
That's what it is. He is Azor Ahai.
Just his arms, not him. Just his arms.
Oh my god. I just wanted to really quickly say the song that Ed Sheeran sings was actually a song that was in the books. Which was called Hands of Gold, and it's a song that was made by the singer Simon Silvertongue about Tyrion and Shay. He finds out that they're lovers and basically he tries to blackmail Tyrion and tells him that I'm going to tell Cersei or Tywin, and Tyrion's like, yo, Bran, and Bran kills him.
Oh, what?
But the song, and as Tyrion kills Shay, actually, he recites the lines, hands of gold are always cold, but a woman's hands are warm, in the books.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's a really, the song, I thought it was very interesting that they chose to do that song, which talks about
a Lannister
that is necessarily not as evil as one would consider most of the Lannisters to be, because the group of Lannisters that she was sitting with were not as evil as you would necessarily expect a Lannister to be. And I just thought that was a really interesting tidbit of information.
That's very cool, yeah.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Okay, so before we get into the season as a whole and what we expect, let's do beard ratings for this episode, because overall, it had ups and downs. I think that the beginning was the best part.
Oh, yeah.
Arya decimating the Freys was hands down the best part of the episode. The rest of it sort of just tried to live up. Yeah. And didn't, which is fine. It's expository. That's what you expect from the first episode of Game of Thrones in a season.
Especially one that sets up so much. So many themes were brought up in this. This is almost more of like a let's get ready episode.
Yes,
like
it was a prepare yourself episode.
Prepare yourself.
Prepare yourself. So what is your beard rating, would you say?
My beard rating is a Ned Stark. Because I like seeing all of the Starks kind of gearing up to get back together.
Okay. I love it. Yeah. I mean, and we're remembering they referred to Ned Stark quite a lot in this episode as well. I saw all these posts about, like, you shouldn't talk about Ned, he was an idiot. It's like, no, he was very smart. It was not his fault that Ned died. Littlefinger did that to him. Yeah. Joffrey did that to him. Oh. He did everything right.
He did, yeah.
He just believed in people too much.
Well, that's what I worry about with Jon.
Yeah.
That is what I worry about with Jon. Because I'm seeing flashes of that.
Like father, like son. I mean, he was raised by Ned.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And I mean, Ned was kind of his only parent because Catelyn
was not around, and
not a fan.
And that's okay. And you can see that clearly that has not affected Jon in the way that he treated the Karstarks and the Embers.
That's true. Yeah.
You can see that it hasn't really affected. So I like that, a Ned Stark rating. It was a good, positive episode that has a lot coming. Yeah. For it. All right, that's not
if it follows in the Ned Stark lifeline that's not good for
I know,
Starks, but we'll see.
We'll see. For myself, because I came up with the beard rating, I gave myself a little leeway. I gave it the Thoros of Myr top knot scenario.
Oh.
It was striking, had some interesting points, but we've seen it before.
I like that.
And this is not to say that I don't love Thoros of Myr. I love him, but his top knot was not necessary. The only reason it was necessary was for the Hound to have that comment on it. And, this episode, a lot of it wasn't necessary.
Okay, yeah.
There was a lot of exposition, but what was there was really good, and he had a strong top knot. I won't lie to you.
I have nothing else to say. That's perfect. That knots it all up. Ties it all together.
No.
Ah!
So in terms of season 7 as a whole,
yes.
What are you looking forward to?
Oh my God. Oh no, that's such a big question. I'm most looking forward to seeing all of these separate groups come together. Mm-hmm. And I've been saying that. I mean, I'm like a broken record saying that because I've been saying that in this episode. I was saying that last season because it was just starting last season. Like when Tyrion and Dany first met up, that was it was
so exciting.
Such a good moment.
Is that season 5?
Oh yeah, it must have been yeah. But I think that's what I'm most excited about. I'm most excited to see these kind of groups that have broken off come together and fight. I just want to see what the strategies are. I want to see what they choose to do. I want to see like if the weak points in these characters, like the weak point of Jon, which is kind of he's not a super strong leader because
he's not a leader. Jon is not a leader.
No, he's not a leader.
Learning how to be a leader. That's his weakness.
Right.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to see them all come together and fight, man.
I want to see the Stone Dragon.
I want to see the Stone Dragon.
I want to see whoever Azor Ahai is, be it Davos, be it Beric Dondarrion. Davos and Beric Dondarrion are my two that I think that Azor Ahai will be. One of the old white men. I'm just not sure which one. But because those are the most honest and true characters in the show, I would say we've got Beric Dondarrion, who has been brought back to life, God knows for what reason, and Davos Seaworth, who is still alive,
shining beautiful beacon,
who didn't have even a word in the premiere, which is maybe why it didn't get as good of a rating as I wanted to give it. I would like to see Davos get words, and he does have a line in the next episode. So
I will say too, I want to see the wall come down for sure. I want to see the moment everybody realizes that the fight in the north, the long night, that's is happening. Yeah, that's the actual fight that everybody needs to be focusing on.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited to see that. And I'm also excited to see what happens to Cersei. I think
dead. Dead by the end of the season.
So dead. By the maybe even like a little past the middle.
Mid-season
point, yeah. I'm excited to see how it happens.
Me too.
Yeah, is that feels brutal, but I mean, it's Game of Thrones.
It's ready. We're ready. I think we're ready for it at this point.
Oh yeah. When you play the Game of Thrones.
You win or you die.
There's no middle ground.
In terms of, so looking to big picture, looking past season 7, season 8, do you think there is going to be an Iron Throne for someone to sit on?
No.
Neither do I.
Oh, yes.
Neither do I.
They're going to take all the swords apart and use them to fight the White Walkers.
They find out that all those swords are made of dragon.
They're all dragon. That's where all of it went. I think this world is past being able to be ruled by a single person.
I agree. And if there was someone on the Iron Throne, I wouldn't want it to be any of the people that have been on it so far.
No.
And I think it would need to be done completely differently.
Oh, yeah. They need some policy changes. They need to gut the politics that have been ruling this world.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, they have to because this threat that everybody kind of thought was over and done with is happening again.
Right there.
So it's like right there.
It's in your face, actually.
It's in your face. It's in your... like a face hugger.
Just like Alien.
Yes, and then it's going to burst out of the chest of the world.
Oh my God.
This whole time we've been watching like, oh, who's going to be on the Iron Throne? Nobody. I don't think anybody's going to be on the Iron Throne.
I agree. In terms of is there anything else you want to talk about this week or this season?
I have a theme.
Ooh, you have a theme for
the season, yeah.
Oh my God.
I know.
Tell me about it.
I got you, girl. So I think that the theme of the season, and maybe this is very obvious. I was very proud of noticing this,
I love it.
I think the theme is what is dead may never die. That's what I think the theme of this season is. You have the Ironborn completely rising again, kind of like in just I was gonna say thrones. There's a word I'm thinking of in hordes. Basically, there's just hordes of them coming, and that's their saying. You have the White Walkers marching. You have the whole Azor Ahai prophecy, reincarnate. Yeah, I think the theme of this season is what is dead may never die. I think that extends to everything. I mean, I think it extends to even when Jaime and Cersei are talking about what allies do we actually have. Like all
what
these.
Is dead may never die.
What is dead may never
die.
die.
Look at the allies that helped us initially. Look
yes.
at the people that maybe didn't help us initially.
Exactly. And that happened with Jon too. Sansa got in his face about, well, these people betrayed, and he was like, it's not the castle's fault, that whole thing. That was a very rough and weird explanation, but it was a very similar theme throughout the entire episode of the past and the dead coming back.
Absolutely.
So that's what I think.
I love that. Yeah. I love that theory. I love that idea of the theme of the season. I think what is dead may never die is really important, especially if Euron does have the dragon binder and proves to be a lot stronger force than the Greyjoys have been initially. And overall, like you said, in comparison to the White Walkers, what is dead may never die. Clearly, that is the big threat that we're looking at here. Mm-hmm. Just because you're dead doesn't mean that's the end for you, man. Sorry, Jon. Sorry, everybody else in this world. I really like that. Yeah. I'm proud of you.
Oh my God,
I was like, oh, yes, I love that. So in terms of...
Senpai noticed.
So let's talk next week, because clearly there's going to be some stuff going on.
I want to know how the Sand Snakes end up with Cersei.
Me too.
That's what I really want to know, because
I want to watch them get killed
so badly. I'm so excited. I really wish I wasn't, but like, I know. Oh my God,
they're like the good guys. They're on Dany's team, and I'm rooting for them to be killed
so much. Yeah. Like that's all I want. Like I just want to see them die. And it's not even because I have anything against them. It's just because I hated how they were done in the previous season.
They were horrible. They were horrible.
Awful.
Doran was and will always be the black spot on Game of Thrones. Ugh. The new episode is called Stormborn, which
that name.
I think we're going to have a lot of Daenerys. I think it's going to be very Daenerys-centric, which I'm totally fine with. Jorah is in the episode. He looks a little bit better. I'm wondering if they're going to find a way to heal. He and Sam are going to find a way to heal him. He's going to have to ingest dragonglass, which is sort of what the book that Sam was reading implies. Jon is going to have to find out about the dragonglass somehow.
Yes.
Jon and Dany are going to meet, I think, in the next episode.
You think in the next one?
At least. Or someone is going to meet that allow them to get closer. It's either, I don't know who. But there's going to be even more sort of coming together, this theme of convergence, this idea that these characters that you have watched grow up in these separate places are all coming together and giving their 2 cents onto how to end this war. And I hope that this new episode will not be as expository.
I do too. I don't
need montages.
No, please no more.
I don't need or long shots of White Walkers walking.
Yeah, there were just a lot of very extended scenes.
Dany walking up through Dragonstone. It's like, it's all beautiful, but we know you're just filling up time.
Yeah.
We know this is just your space filling.
Fill it with story. Fill it with story. Fill it with
You only have 8 episodes to do this. So,
I know.
Let's not beat around the bush here. I don't want expository. But I have high hopes for this season. I think this is going to be the last season that everything is sort of the same, and next season is going to be completely different.
I agree.
And I'm really excited, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do. I'm not necessarily trusting them.
No.
But I will continue to watch.
I will continue to watch cautiously.
Cautiously.
Yes. Cautious watcher.
Any final notes you want to speak to?
I think that's it for me.
All right. Well,
shall we begin?
We can.
Or shall we
end?
Really,
I
this
suppose.
episode?
No, Dany, we shan't begin, because that was the most easy line you could have said.
Know.
And you said it.
I liked it.
I thought it was a little weak, but whatever. That's
fine.
She
said it before too.
She has. I was like, yeah, all right. My fingers are crossed. So, Carly, where can our dear sweet listeners find you?
People can find me on my Twitter. I tweet it at Chillin555, which is CHILLYN 555. Don't ask me why. There's no real story. And you can find me on medium.com. My name there is Hi Yes Hello. Those are my main hangs.
Beautiful. And as always, you can find me on Twitter at Commander Tully. It's one word, no caps, no spaces. I'm really looking forward to this season. I think that this has been great. Carly, thank you so much for joining me this week.
Thank you.
We will be live tweeting Sunday's episode.
Yes.
We will be live tweeting Stormborn, so join us. We're really excited. And thank you all so much for tuning in this episode. We will be here next week, but until then, remember, the night is dark, but full of Davos.
dun, 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 dun.